NDPTC staff. So today we have Kevin T. Sir, Director of Communications and Public Information Officer for Illinois Emergency Management Agency and a member of FEMA's External Affairs Cadre. With extensive experience in crisis communication, Kevin has led public information efforts during major disasters, including Hurricanes Katrina, Sandy, Irma, Maria, and Ida. His expertise in managing misinformation and emergency public affairs has been instrumental in disaster response and recovery. Not only that, but he has been an amazing, amazing instructor with NDPTC. So join us as he shares in his strategies for navigating misinformation on social media. Please welcome Kevin, sir. Kevin, take it away.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. Apologies about being just a few minutes late. There's been a lot of breaking news, as I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of it going on today. Again, my name is Kevin Sir. I'm the PIO or Public Information Officer with the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security. I have a pretty quick presentation to talk a little bit about, well, misinformation, disinformation, maybe even malinformation that can be found online. Translated to the kids' version of it today is really the sus information that could be found on social media. So, a quick presentation to kind of share with you a little bit about what can be found on social media. And folks, there's a lot of things going on, and if you really think about our job is really to be the bestest that we can be, the best effort, the best things, the best and brightest ever for people at their worst times. So it is truly impactful, the work that you do, no matter if you're in the response, recovery, mitigation, preparedness, whatever component of the disaster response you're in, you are truly making a difference every single day. This picture, if you're kind of wondering, happens to be from a day that occurred in March of 2020. Likely many of you folks had that same concerning look on your phones, and all the news cameras were there, and we technically had the first COVID patient in Illinois. So that was the first day that all that happened. And my friend John and I are the two primary public information officers that were handling all that mess throughout that day. It was really quite of a challenging moment because things kind of got a little bonkers after that. So we truly need to be at our best, no matter what the situation is. Now, in this little hour or less time that I have, I'm going to talk a little bit about images, videos, AI, how to maybe some information on metadata, which is all the information that's attached to some of the pictures. You likely heard of that term before in these social media classes. And we'll talk a little bit about the future of crisis communications, and then we'll open it up for some questions. Really, when we talk about crisis communications, we have to think about what's really a crisis. Well, if you look at the purest of definitions, or even worse yet, of the things that are happening within the communities, a crisis is really something that overwhelms the current resources, the current situation. That's that disaster side of the house. And I gotta be honest, these couple of days, or these couple of weeks, or these couple of months, or a couple of years, this has been kind of the status quo. All of us are forced to do something a little bit more, a little bit extra, a little bit above all the different things together. So we are required to do more with less. And that's that famous line of other duties as assigned. My job as a public information officer is to share all the things that happen in a disaster, about all the stuff that goes on, and of course, try to tell and paint the best picture. While we see Leslie Nielsen here giving you the best picture of nothing going on, nothing to see here, there's actually a lot going on behind the scenes. So, to kind of dispel a couple of different rumors here, first off, if you haven't an entire well, basically the entire world. And if you remember back in the day when this happened in April of 2013, we found that a tweet can affect the most powerful country in the world. Back in April 2013, the AP, or the Associated Press, has their Twitter account. And I happened to be sitting at the Intel desk when all this went down. I saw on TweetDeck, if you remember that platform, one of the tweets that showed up, it says, breaking, two explosions in the White House and Barack Obama is injured. So if you look at the picture on the far right-hand side, you actually see how it was appearing to me in the feed, right? So you can see that tweet that was sent out, but something just didn't sit right with me. It just didn't look right, right? So to dive deeper into this, and this is where your little super sleuthing does come in, you can see that first off, there's some grammatical errors. And if you know the AP, they're a pretty staunch advocate and pretty good about writing things and pretty good about a grammatical stuff. there's no period at the end of that tweet. So if you're looking at the tweet or zooming in on your screen, you notice there is no period at the end. Also, on top of that, too, their tweets or their posts were all generated by something called social flows. As you can see, the previous tweet from AP was done by social flow, but this one was all natural, native to the platform, as you can see it done via the web. So instantly, I saw a few things in the tweet that looked a little askew, looked a little bit different than the others, and definitely kind of set things up. Looking online, I couldn't find any report of any explosion at the White House or anybody injured from that, for that matter alone. So all this is going on. I'm in the watch desk, kind of sharing all this information with our people. Like, hey, if you're hearing this information, this is not true. Just note that it is not true. I don't find any conference information. There's nothing coming from the White House. This is all incorrect. However, reactionary side across the nation, and what that graph on the left-hand side is, at the time of the tweet, there's a huge dump on the market. Stocks start to fall, everything starts to crumble, well below what is expected for that normal time frame. What happened was the market reacted to a tweet that was found online. Ended up AP's account was actually hacked, right? So they got their password compromised and they got hacked and somebody had posted that information. But at this point in 2025, if you don't think 140, which is about the time it was, or 240 or 280 characters can change the outcome of the most powerful nation, the economic outlook of the most powerful nation, I think you might ought to rethink a little bit on social media because it truly is impacting a lot of what we do. And just by a tweet can affect the most powerful nation. Now, how fast do we need to be in crisis communications? We need to be pretty quick, right? Back in the day, we used to be 24 hours, no big deal, 6 hours, 60 minutes. Now, let's be very honest. Social media allows us to see what's happening before the fire trucks, police cars, and ambulances, maybe even less, maybe even before the disaster happens or before the emergency happens, we kind of know what goes on. And that makes it very difficult for us as public information officers, or even better yet, us as responders to the incident. Definitely changes a few things. Now, I like to show this slide when we talk a little bit about the sharks in the subway because this picture really defines you as a real disaster. And what do I mean by that? Well, this picture, if you haven't heard by now, is obviously fake, right? It's not real. There are no sharks in the subway. This is a AI generated, it's a fake image. It's a photoshopped image. This is not a real image. However, we can tell this is image is a fake because they're just doing things online. In our social media classes from NDPTC, we talk a little bit about in the PER 344 social media tools and techniques, as well as the PER 343 social media engagement strategies on how we can verify if a picture is real or not real, or if it's been around for a while. Now, alone, if there were sharks in the ton of discussion, a ton of stuff online talking about sharks in the subway. However, this is not true. Usually, when we find this is from a situation where there's flooding or there's major damages for a hurricane or inland surges that are coming through, or something along those lines, right? But in this situation, if we see sharks in the subway, we know the disaster has gone big time, and the image is not true. In fact, hilariously, this image has been around for almost, if not longer than a decade. I got it in 2019. That's right, in 2019, when I was the PIO for FEMA in Nebraska. I got the Kevin, it's so bad. There are reports of sharks in the subway. Do you care to comment? And I thought, oh, I didn't know about anything about subways in Nebraska. If you've been to Nebraska, you know that there are not many subways. In fact, there are no subways in Nebraska. So I thought it was very odd that they had reported out there were sharks in the subway in Nebraska, and there were no subways in Nebraska. The picture has evolved, though. I will tell you, just like anything else has evolved, and we now not only see sharks in the subway, but now there are variants of this fake imagery that we find online. As you can see from the picture, there is a shark on the highway, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be a shark in the tornado and all of those fanciful things. So just keep in mind those types of things will come up and will kind of show up and eventually start to be a little bit more aggressive. In fact, just 3 years ago, we saw this happen in Maryland. And you're probably thinking, well, Maryland has a chance for sharks because, Maryland's on the coast. It's right there. But it's really not. This image is, as you can see on the right hand side of the screen here, is actually from TikTok. It's a TikTok, and rather than play it for you, you kind of all have seen how sharks swim. In fact, many of you may be shark aficionados. You take the time to go and watch Shark Week on TV every year. Of the shark goes from side to side, from left to right. Their fin allows them to do some propulsion with their left to right sides. However, if you watch this actual video on TikTok, you realize that the shark is not really swimming in the street. In fact, you see the herky-jerky motion of the shark. And if you know sharks, they don't swim in a very herky-jerky motion. It's very smooth. The sharks are very smooth online, but in this video here, you won't see the shark moving very smoothly. In fact, you'll see it like somebody is dragging a shark through the streets. In fact, the dorsal fin, which you see what's pictured here, is actually slumping to the side. Usually, if sharks are on the hunt, they're the aggressor, they're the ultra A personality of the ocean. Their dorsal fin, their fins are very taut. They're very moving very smoothly, very quietly, very easy through the water. And this image is not it. So I would encourage you, if you have the chance, to maybe watch a couple of times the video that you're looking online and seeing if it's real or not real. Number two, use some common sense because common sense does play a lot in discerning if an image is real or not real online. If you watch this video, you'd like to be able to see that pretty quickly. This was not a real image. Speaking of real images, though, let's talk about waves because this seems to be a huge topic of conversation. Bottom left hand side is from every disaster person's favorite movie, right? The Day After Tomorrow, where we plausibly have a 6,000-foot wave overtaking what appears to be lower Manhattan. I'm pretty sure that has not happened before. I'm no historian. I'm no scientist. I don't know anything about coastal surge, flooding, tidal wave, tsunamis, all that stuff. However, I'm pretty sure we've never had a 6,000-foot wave overtake lower Manhattan and swallow up every one of the buildings on the Lower East. The one on the right, what do you folks think? So I'll leave it up to you in the chat box. What do you think? In the chat box, give me a real or not real. Real or not real in the chat box. Let me know what you think because that could be real, could not be real. What do you think? I'll give you a hint, right? So the image on the bottom right-hand side shows calm waters, and then right in about the middle of the picture, right before the building, there's some tumultuous water, and then in the background, or maybe to the right of the building, we see some tumultuous water, almost spewing out at an egregious rate. What do you think? Common sense? Yeah, I gotta admit, I this is a little odd. The imagery. It's if you grew up around the water, you kind of know that this is not the best image, right? It's not doesn't look right. Something about it is a little fishy, and the sky also looks a little fishy too. Well, if you've hit it off the image in the front with all the water, that is not real. The image in the middle part of it, where it's a little bit more tumultuous, looks like there's a little bit of a current there. That's also not real, also superimposed. And the image in the back, which is the gigantic wave, which appears to go about 7, 8 stories up, is not a real image. However, if you're a firefighter, you know that's the kind of water that comes spewing out of a hydrant. So you kind of know a little bit about how water dynamics and maybe even hydrology works. So this image just purely on the water flow and all the different types of water flow that are happening in this one picture, plausibly within a 100 by 100 area, is not true. Also, the sky looks real funky, and the sky normally doesn't look like that too. So, like even just basic things like taking a look by common sense, things are not real. So, a lot of these are photoshopped images. They are not real. They are done to try to portray or parlay or tell a different story that doesn't quite make sense. Now, I'm not quite sure why some like the color, they really enjoy the tumultuous water. Like, who knows? I could not tell you why individuals try to do these things. However, I can tell you the image on the top right hand side. What do you think? Is that real or fake? Let me know in the chat box. Is that image real or fake? What do you think? Let me know in the chat box. Kind of real, kind of fake. kind of not real. What do you think? It's a big wave. Lots of people out there surfing. I don't know. Could be real. All right. So, in hearing some of the conversation online and seeing that people are saying it's real, not real. All right. So, that is a real image. I know, surprise, surprise. Kevin, you're talking about you're giving all this fake misinformation, the sus stuff or whatever. No, no, no. That's actually real. That's from the Eddie Aikau. So having local knowledge of the big wave surfs that's coming into Honolulu, well, that image looks pretty fake. It looks pretty egregious. Well, it does look pretty egregious. I would not want to be surfing on that kind of stuff, but like it is actually real. So if you happen to watch the movie Endless Summer, a classic movie, you'd likely see the same images from Waimea Bay, from the North Shore, from the northern part of the of Oahu that takes in the winter swell. So that is a real image. So I would encourage you not only to use a discerning look at the pictures and the videos that you're seeing, but also leverage the local knowledge because likely they may have some more information about what goes on and maybe be able to tell you a little bit about the Eddie Aikau, which is a iconic surfing tournament on Oahu. Good answers to all. All right, let's get into a little bit more of the video component because we're seeing a lot of this on all the different social media platforms. So, what we have featured on the right-hand side is a TikTok, but this is also the same because we see the same videos proliferated on Facebook and Instagram stories and Reels and Snapchat, a whole bunch of other platforms as well. So I'll play the video. I don't know if sound is going to show up. Sound is actually not important to this one, but we can watch the video and check this out. So give me a quick second to go and play the video. All right, pretty creepy, pretty cool. I'll play it one more time so you can see it one more time through. All right. So in the chat box, what do you think? Is this video real or fake? I got a couple of answers in the chat box here. I wish they were real. Pretty sure they're all fake, not real. Looks like rubber. Got a lot of fake, got a lot of fake, got a lot of fake. All right, look at you folks, already professionals. Welcome to sit in my Joint Information Center. All right, so this video is truly fake. So let's take a look at, let's dive into this kind of stuff, right? Because these are the markers that'll help you out. First off, common sense, right? If you are a deep sea fisher person or a commercial fisher person, right? Like you're on the boat, you're all dressed, ready to go. I've seen The Deadliest Catch, and you've likely seen the same. You've likely seen the movie Jaws, where they're out in the middle of the ocean catching these big fishes or these strange things that we don't normally see along the shoreline. Look at this picture, right? Even without the video playing, the boat is pretty close to land. I'm pretty sure you don't catch deep sea weird things super close to land. Number two, usually the commercial fishing folks are out when the weather is terrible. I don't know, the sky looks pretty blue in this picture and looks awfully nice. All right, even better yet, here's even a easier marker. Check out the digits, the fingers, because that's a real marker. I'll play the video again. I want you to pay special attention to the fingers, the digits that are on. Counting? Look at all those fingers. But wait, there's more because each of you have counted the fingers. You probably commented that each of these folks are having some challenges. Like they're really bloated, they're really swelling. They only have four fingers. Hold on a second. The image that's on the screen right now, take a look at it. How many fingers? You don't understand. Fishing is a very dangerous profession, and there are opportunities for you to lose digits. Are you making fun of them for losing digits? Absolutely not. I am not making fun of people losing fingers in their work because stuff happens. I am more concerned about the commercial glove companies that are making four-fingered gloves. Oh, that's the marker, right? A four finger. When was the last time that you were at Harbor Freight, Home Depot, Lowe's, and you asked them, "Hey, sir, can I have the four-fingered glove?" No, no, they don't sell four-finger gloves. So the marker on this one is, hey, something looks a little odd. There's normally not somebody with a glove with four fingers. What's happening? Also, each finger is about the size of a size of a Costco hot dog, right? It's huge. Each of them have gigantic swelling fingers. AI can't get fingers right. It's not quite a marker. In this video set that we watched, in the TikTok that we just watched here, you likely saw the image get dimmed. I think in the third clip, the image got real dark. If they are trying to change the image and sway you one way or the other, they'll darken the whole image down so that way things aren't really clear. So that's another tip. If the image is blurry, it's not that great. Okay, well, then that could be another reasoning. Your discerning eye will be able to tell you that things may not be exactly where they are. All right, so first off, now that you know a little bit about the common sense component, right? The clear pictures of all these commercial fisher folks, these gigantic, weird looking animals, which I'm not quite sure if they really exist. Again, I'm not a scientist or Jacques Cousteau, but I will tell you that none of these things that were caught look fairly real. Aside from that, the colors and things are also a little odd. And if we take a look at the video again, I'll play it one last time so you can Google this thing. Take a look at all of these folks, right? Watch what they're wearing. Take a look at the color because the color is real weird, almost iridescent. Look at that color. Look at that color change on his legs, the legs of the pants. Now, to be fair, we also watch what's on TV. And every Deadliest Catch, every fishing show, well, maybe not Harry Kojima from back in the day, but every show that was on TV about commercial fishermen all talk a little bit about how they're wearing bright yellow clothes. So in case they fall in the water, you can rescue them. None of these individuals that you see on the screen are wearing high visibility coats in case they fall in the water and die. All right, so another marker is knowing the industry, knowing the area, and of course, being safe on that side. So just some ways for you to consider a few things and also to wonder what the sea has in store for all of us. All right, let's fast forward a little bit to Hurricane Helene, which is one of the hot button topic of conversations just this past year from all the hurricanes. This one is specifically one that really gathered a lot of steam from North Carolina. And recently, I was talking to the North Carolina PIOs and all those folks that were in the response side. This picture particularly came up. So I opted to highlight this just a little bit for all of you folks. First off, in the chat box, like we've been doing, what do you think? Real or fake? Give me the markers. What do you think? Real or fake? In the chat box, let me know if these images are real or fake. I got a fake. I got a puppy changes colors, a fake, fake. Oh, you folks are getting good at this. Dang it. I'm gonna have you folks come on and hang out for a little bit. Fake. Amy, you're right. It definitely tugs at your heart. Oh, got the boat changing color. You're right there. All fake. Look at that. I love it. You folks are all incredibly smart individuals because these images, both of them, including the dog, are fake. Are different because they are clearly different. Look at the snot of the dog. They look pretty different, right? So let's take a look at the kid first because that's what pulls at your heartstrings, right? A disaster is happening. The world is coming to an end. Rescuers are out there saving kids who are barely alive. Well, look at the kid. The kid's face doesn't quite exactly match up. Number two, in the picture on the right-hand side, the kid's arm is a different color than her face. Now, I understand that there's a chance of extremis where she may not have as good profusion in her face as her arms, but usually you lose it in your arms first, like the profusion in your arms. So that's usually more of a whitish color, and your face turns flush red if you're crying. In this one, it seems to be accentuated only around a ruddy nose and maybe some eyes that you've been crying for years, and maybe some rosy cheeks and a little bit of the red lips. So the arm color is different. Maybe she just drives with her arm out the window, tans her arm, but maybe not her face. I don't know. Number three, the boat that the little girl was in is totally different, right? Definitely some challenging moments. But also, let's look at the boat in the background of the picture on the right hand side. I am not the captain. I am not Gilligan. I don't know anything about boats. While I served for years and years and years on the water rescue team and swift water rescue, urban search and rescue, I've done all that stuff. I'm pretty sure you don't put the motor cocked to one side of the boat. I'm pretty sure it doesn't really provide a good equal thrust in the boat if you're only putting it on one side. Kind of weird how the engine is cocked to one side. But hey, man, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a boat guy, but I'm pretty sure that engine goes right in the middle of the back. Okay, now let's go back to the kid and the dog. How many of you have ever held a dog like that? Many of you. How many of you think that the dog doesn't want to be there because it's already in extremis, it's already wet, and it sits crystal clear picture? When was the last time you had your camera out, a high quality digital SLR or a really good camera out in the rain in a disaster situation where you're able to get this kind of clear picture out of that side? I mean, it is a very, very clear picture. I've taken tons of pictures in disasters, and it is never looking like this. So the image itself, purely on the current raining conditions, the fogginess of the lens, the stuff getting on the camera lens, the everything all together looks a little odd. Even worse yet, if you've ever been in a water rescue situation, nothing is ever this pretty. If we are truly pulling somebody out of the water to rescue them out of the fast current, swift water rescue kind of stuff, or even just drowning situations, we are using everything possible that we have to pull you back into the boat. Never, never in my entire career have we pulled somebody out and their clothes weren't. In fact, the PFD, or the personal flotation device that this kid is wearing, is picture perfect. It fits her well. Everything is strapped up, cinched down. Everything looks great. If you've ever seen pictures from an actual water rescue, you know that stuff is not on. First off, the person may not even have their clothes on. Things are ripped off. The vest is maybe half on, half off. The straps are never buttoned. Look, this picture is perfect. It never looks like that. So a discerning eye, maybe even watching a couple other water rescue videos, and you go online, you can see all of these on like Rescue 911 on YouTube. Watch all the videos. Every water rescue is likely the same thing. We as rescuers are doing everything possible to pull that person out to save their lives. But in reality, it doesn't look as pretty as what you see pictured here. So these images are doctored and fake and definitely pull at the heartstrings to showcase that there are disaster survivors that are struggling. There are, but perhaps not AI, photoshopping, or being creative. This image is definitely fake. By the way, if you go to a couple of different websites like Google reverse image searches, or if you take this image, insert it into tineye.com, tineye.com, or Google reverse image search, you can easily find where these pictures originated from and how many times they were used online to proliferate the disaster response, or maybe even better yet, the narrative of the failure of the disaster response. So keep those things in mind. I would be remiss if I didn't talk a little bit about some of the politics and things. And I've been fortunate over my career to have been involved in several national special security events, including the 2016 RNC, the Republican National Convention, the 2024 Republican National Convention, and leading the Joint Information Center in the 2024 Democratic National Convention here in Chicago. So very fortunate over the years. So I do want to kind of chat a little bit about some of these things because people love to post misinformation online. In 2016, we saw this tweet from on Kevin. What do you think of this picture? All right, well, I see a dumpster on fire. There are some logos on the side that could be associated with Cleveland because that's where the Republican National Convention was held. And as you can see, the Quicken Loans Arena logo on the bottom left hand side. However, you also see the Republican National Convention logo on the dumpster, which I thought was kind of odd. I didn't think they do branding on dumpsters for Republican National Conventions. But then there's also several logos of the candidate on the center of the dumpster and on the right hand side, where you see what appears to be a female walking by, and the dumpster is on fire. Now, at this point, I've been in Cleveland for, I don't know, over a decade, right? And I've never seen a yellow dumpster. Local knowledge, definitely helpful. I've seen green dumpsters, I've seen blue dumpsters, I've seen brown dumpsters. I've never seen a yellow dumpster, but hey, there are different dumpsters for every kind of different person out there. So we dive deep into this and using some of the tools I talked about earlier, like tineye.com, we're able to take and showcase where this image came from. We found that this image was also used with something that's just being posted recurrently about the 2016 Republican National Convention already be a meme for the UK. That doesn't seem kind of odd. Upon more research, we found that the image was also posted in the more clean form. This is obviously the same image without the branded logos on the side of the dumpster. And in fact, if you look closely to the right on the right picture, you'll see the image that's behind the gal that's walking slightly changed as well. So there's been a bunch of different photoshopping or changing of images on there to maybe describe a little bit about the narrative of what's happening. Come to find out, this is the original image from 5 years prior, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, if you are a sports fan. And it also credits the person who took the photo, which is Brian Newman. Clearly, there's a dumpster on fire. Clearly, there's a person walking behind, but there are no branding logos on the dumpster itself. And likely having to do with Game 7, a big ordeal with the folks from the NA support a narrative, which is not cool. Definitely gave us some moments of concern on this side, but also part of how the world works today on social media. Fast forward to 2024, the Democratic National Convention. That's Joe. Him and I have been buddies for years. He works for the Sergeant at Arms at the Capitol. Like he provides a incredible knowledge about what goes on. And during the 2024 DNC, we thought that people would be moving on from sharing fake information or photoshopping images to tell a specific narrative. Well, that has not changed because we started seeing images like this. And if you can't read the words, well, what you can see here is a pile of bricks on the ground, what looks to be a parking lot in a neighborhood. It says breaking. A source from the Chicago Police Department has verified that pallets or containers of bricks have been found near the locations designated for protests related to the Democratic National Convention. Well, that seems odd. I live in Chicago. If many of you have been to Chicago, I live on what's close to the United Center, where the Democratic National Convention was being held. So this is technically my neighborhood. We were all involved in this process, made for terrible traffic, but also very easy commute for me. So I didn't need to walk that far. But the supposition from these tweets were that these were found on the streets, that protesters or demonstrators were going to use these bricks, pick them up, throw them, hurl them at our public safety folks all across the city of Chicago and injure people, citing violence, inciting riots because of the current political situation. So let's take a look at this image. First off, having general knowledge of the area helps because I don't recognize this. I walk the neighborhoods. I like to think I'm a little bit healthier. I try to walk places. I don't recognize any of these images. I don't recognize the truck in the back. I don't recognize the parking lot. I don't recognize the street. None of that matches up. And it seems odd. Even more so importantly, if you've ever had a pallet of bricks or you ever ordered bricks to your house in larger formats, and when Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, whichever store or whichever company delivers it to you, they don't just drop the bricks on the ground. They deliver it on pallets. That's right. People, when you order bricks from Home Depot, they come on pallets because that's how they unload them, right? They use like a forklift or some sort of like crane lift from the truck to unload the bricks back onto your property, and that's for you to unload yourself. They come on pallets, as you can see what's pictured here. And the trucks that bring them, it's not a small truck, it's a fairly big truck. And I think that I would notice that if there was a gigantic truck unloading rando bricks, nowhere construction in sight, I would probably notice that. And our neighbors would notice that. And the police academy, which is located in our neighborhood, would probably notice that too. That image, if you haven't figured out by now, is fake. We did the background research on this using TinEye, Google reverse image searches, and looked at the metadata, which is the information that's attached to each of the pictures. And we found that the picture this for a company that was building a sidewalk and a little side adjoining wall. It wasn't from the 2024 the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. So, knowing how these things go, people are still posting weird information, regurgitating old images from previous disasters, and trying to make fetch happen. That's right, I said trying to make fetch happen. Some things that did happen, though, that are real is that people got through some of the perimeter fencing. Now, you probably were watching the news intently and seeing all the protesters break through the fences and whatnots, and that's cool, right? But what I don't think that a good narrative on the story is that there were several layers of fences between the outside, the public perimeter, and also the inside at the Democratic National Convention at the United Center. So the top right is the actual image. You can see multiple fence lines, etc., etc. Not one, not two, but there were actually seven fence lines. So as officers right there, and they were shouting in my face, "Ah, we broke your impervious fence." It's not an impervious fence. Ah, we broke through it. Ah, you can't stop us now. We're going to charge everything. I'm like, okay, well, there's other fences, but please stop breaking things. Ah, we broke this fence. It's not a impervious fence. It's really called the anti-scaling fence, and there are several fences that are available. And even better yet, we've had this fences for a while. They kept saying, "Oh, we broke through your magical fence. You've never had this happen before. This is brand new. You wasted all this money on us." I'm like, "No, we didn't waste any money on you. We've actually had this fencing for quite a while." Secret Service has been using this anti-scaling fence since I think 2014. So this thing has been around for quite a while. And if you're looking at the picture on the left-hand side, that's actually from the summer. Earlier this summer, we hosted NASCAR in Chicago. That's right, we had NASCAR in Chicago. Hilarious. But we put up the anti-scaling fence. Why? Because we didn't want people getting injured while they jumped on the tracks. So we used the same exact anti-scaling fence so that way people didn't get hurt or injured. So these things have been around for quite a while. Again, trying to dispel these rumors about the perimeter breaches and breaking things. I'm like, look, that's there, but you also have to have local knowledge, which will also help you out to discern if pictures are real or not real. Had a great time. This is my team from the 2024 Democratic National Convention with the from us, from all of our folks here. This is the first time in the history that the Secret Service has ever let any state, along with the feds, run the JIC or the Joint Information Center. So I'm fortunate to work with all these professionals. They're outstanding individuals. We ran a 24-hour JIC for an entire week and a half. Solid, good stuff. All the magic happened. These are your rock stars for the 2024 Democratic National Convention's Joint Information Center. Now, I touched on it just briefly, but here's a quick little tidbit on the XF or the exchangeable image files that you can find attached to every one of your pictures. Your cell phone, I think, has a already attend that PER 344 or PER 343 course where we talk a little bit about the XF data on each of the pictures and how to discern that. Each of your phones do this automatically. In fact, I'm pretty sure you don't have a flip phone or a Motorola StarTAC anymore. Your smartphone does all this because your phone does a ton of different things. It can change images. So to kind of round this portion out, to test your skills as we kind of figure things out here, I want to know your skill set. First off, this is an image of the Pope. He's clearly wearing his Balenciaga coat, looking svelte, looking all fine, looking all great. But there are some things that look a little odd. So in the chat box, let me know, real or fake image? What do you think? Real or fake images? I got a fake here. What do you think? Real or fake? I got another fake. You saying the Pope is fake? Come on, now he's doing that. He's a little healthier. Oh, I'm getting a lot of fake images here. Real, hope it's real. Kind of fake. Maybe it's just old. Maybe, His Holiness here, I'm sure, has a blanket or two. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this. This image is from a while ago, so this is before his current illness, right? There's some challenges, and I've highlighted them on the left-hand side. So first off, he's wearing glasses, as you can see, and his left lens, so the Pope's left lens, kind of disappears into the background. So if you take a look, he's got some frames on his right side, on the right part of his glasses, but he has no frame or no surrounding on the left-hand side. That looks a little odd, but maybe it could be the shadow. So there's some distortion or pixelization or just things don't look a little right with his glasses. All right, no worries. No worries. There's a few other things that stand out. Let's look at the Pope's left hand. All right. Looks like his hand. I'm pretty sure the Pope's pretty old. That looks like kind of like a young hand. Maybe he moisturizes well. Maybe he does good hand paraffin wax. Maybe he gets some, his nails did. I don't know. That doesn't exactly look like. Sure. Maybe it's just a big thing around his neck, right? Hold up. Let's look even further. Let's look at his right hand. It appears to be that he is holding a water bottle, which I'm sure many of you have. We all have our water bottles that we carry. Stay hydrated, etc., etc. When was the last time you saw the Pope carrying a water bottle? Never. That's right. His Holiness doesn't need to carry around water because he himself is holy, right? He's got the holy water and all that stuff. He didn't carry around his own water bottle. He doesn't have a camelback. That's not his jam. When's the last time you saw the Pope carry a water bottle? Never. So this picture of the Pope carrying the water bottle, probably not true. He's got peeps to do that from him. So this image, just by looking at the things that are surrounding him, plus the ridiculousness of a Balenciaga coat for the Pope, looking very popely, by the way, is not real. But it gets even better because how do we know this is not real? Well, it starts to go a little viral. Now that we've seen the Pope in the Balenciaga angle in the front, touting the Catholic Church, right? All the other folks start to jump in. They have the same coat on a couple of actresses. So as you can see from here, the coat takes on different variations and different colors, a different print pattern, a different texture, and even gets a little bit more, looks to be a little bit more buff in the red coat version of it. It's got some texture there. And on the right-hand side, he's got that, I don't know, a different kind of look. I've never seen the Pope gesture like that before. That's not a classic Pope move. And I don't think he's throwing up any kind of like Vatican City gang signs or anything. So that all that looks a little odd. So as you can see, the images start to get a little bit more viral. Things start to get a little bit odd and just don't look a little right. So first off, I hope the Pope gets better, whether or not you are of the faith or not. Just hopefully the dude gets better, and of course, hopefully he has a warm coat to keep him toasty. Perhaps maybe his own Balenciaga fake coat. Lot of images that are fake online. And I do want to take a quick moment to kind of play this video if we can. I don't know if this will show up. Hopefully it will. Maybe it won't. This is Anderson Cooper from CNN. Yep. With a quick ad. Sorry about that. We'll skip over that. Kind of a deep fake. So in this image, what do you think? Is that pretty easy to fake? Pretty easy, right? Because even my own father thought that that was a real image. My own father thought that was a real or the clip describes a little bit about this video clip itself. It talks about using high computers, high visible, all the powerful stuff to create this kind of things. You actually have that same powerfulness on your phone. If you can download the app called My Talking Pet, you can take a picture of your dog, your cat, your pet llama, your whatever pet, your pet turtle, whatever you got, and it will help you overlay whatever you say on top of your pet. So for those of you that like your pets, I encourage you to download My Talking Pet. There's a free demo version of it, and it'll help do this kind of fake AI and have your pet talk back to you. It's a hilarious thing, but your phone has the capability to do all these different things. So keep in mind that despite all these deep fakes, all these fake images that you have to discern if it's real or not, you now have the capability to create this stuff on your phone. Now, all of you folks use your stuff for good, but think about the people who are using this for ill will, for bad stuff, for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, so you kind of get the idea. Fake images like this, right? Watching their mouth, watching how the audio doesn't match with the video, all those different things. And of course, the person themselves, all of these different things will kind of come into play as you discern if the image is real or fake. My Talking Pet is the app if you want to try this out and do a deep fake of your dog on your own free time. All right, folks, there's been a ton of cases online, and you likely heard the California wildfire, where a couple of folks are faking images or talking about things that haven't exactly happened, right? So there's plenty of cases. I don't need to go over them now, but you kind of get the idea of how people are faking things and being outraged by what's going on or providing not the real information. This is the world that us as public information officers live in, right? They talk about sending fire trucks, not sending fire trucks, being held up at the border, and then they weren't held up at the border, they were stopped in San Francisco. And but hold on a second, let's talk about that. Because if Oregon is sending California fire trucks and they're stopped, that's way up north, right? So the story doesn't match up because here they're talking about Oregon sending California 60 fire trucks to help out with the wildfire, but then they were stopped in San Francisco. If you know geography and you paid attention to geography, you realize that San Francisco is far away from the border of Oregon and California. Anyway, you kind of get the idea. Common sense wise, a lot of these things are not common sense, but it'll force us to go and respond to some of these comments, right? So here is the response that Oregon had to put out that a lot of the information is not fake, is fake, it's not real, whatever. So you can discern a lot of these things from just looking at the pictures. In fact, you can just do this on your phone. If you take an image, so this image here, I love talking about Star Wars. This image of the Jawas unit here, which carries them through the desert, picking up all the spare parts, is clearly branded with a Tesla logo, which is pretty hilarious because I watched all of Star Wars. I'm a pretty big fan. I don't remember Tesla ever powering this this unit at all from the Jawa. So if we use the contrast, so if you're editing a picture, so you download the picture to whatever you think it is, and you think it's false, download the picture to your phone, change the contrast, move the contrasting thing. And so the original picture is on the left hand side. You see the Jawa's face, that little guy that's got his arms out, the tracks, and the Tesla logo, the side box, and then the viewing from the front of the vehicle, right? It's all dark black. However, if you go and change the contrast of the picture, and this is just on your phone, right? So you see the screenshot on the right hand side. It's just on your phone. You change the contrast to negative 100. Look at the black coloration. It's different. The Tesla logo is a different black than the track black, than the viewing panel that's black, than the sidebar. So everything doesn't quite match up. Everything is a bit askew. It's a little odd. It doesn't match up. If they were all the same for the original picture, having that same dark black, it would all change the same color as you move the contrast left or right. So if I were you, one of the ways and one of the tips is to take the image itself, save it to your phone, edit the picture, change the contrast, slide it all the way to the left-hand side, and seeing if that color saturation matches all the other same or similar colors. So an easy way for you to do it on your phone. Look, I'm not asking you to pack an entire bag of stuff, right? I'm not asking you to call the cavalry and do all the things, but like these are the kind of things that you need as tools to figure these things out and dispel all the silly information. So anyway, I'm kind of blowing through all this because really, I don't know what the future of our technology is, whether it's R2D2 and some 3D animation and some projector side. And if you think about this, a lot of these things are happening. Who knows what the future of all this is going to be? In emergency management, we are forced to deal with all kinds of stuff. And here in Illinois, we have seen a whole broad scope of a bunch of different things, not only tornadoes, which we love. Right, so that's amazing. We've also had derechos, frontline, straight line winds, all the stuff. We've had the asylum seeker mission. We have disaster after disaster after disaster, all the stuff. We also had a little bit of an eclipse. We also had a dust storm, a haboob, all the stuff that goes on in Illinois. So we don't know where emergency management is taking us. However, be prepared. Be ready for the next big disaster, Godzilla showing up. Make sure you have your text statement because we'll all be furiously texting in the next big disaster. Folks, that pretty much ends my time. I wanted to leave a few minutes for some questions, comments, all the jokes or whatever else about these kinds of things. So I think these are some good opportunities to open it up for some questions.
Kevin, that
Yo.
was amazing. I was laughing so hard on some of those videos. I know a lot of those videos were funny, but I realized there first, I just had a quick question. With all of these AI videos I see more and more throughout, do you just have like a storage problem with just saving all these videos? Like, oh, this would be good to use for these presentations. How's your phone storage looking?
I have a ridiculous amounts of things that I try to save and kind of parlay and share in class. The intention of saving all these videos, which is quite voluminous, thank goodness for digital storage, right? Is to be able to share with all of the folks that are on the call today, right? Like all of us are professionals, and my hope is that by talking about these things openly, being transparent, you don't make the same mistakes that I do, or if I see something that's weird that you can benefit from, like awesome, like let's all do it, let's all work together. Really, our job is to kind of help out our communities and the communities that we serve. I am true to the point, and I said this for years upon decades now, that a rising tide raises all ships. And so it's upon us, our onus, to help train and empower others to make good decisions. So happy to share all the information that I have with all of you folks for sure.
Of course. So if anybody has additional questions, please feel free to raise your hand or put your question in the chat. We know I see Mary has raised your hand. Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, I have a question about somebody who possibly changed the metadata on something. I had a situation recently where somebody did something very dishonest. They edited some minutes, and my son went in and they had also done something to the modification date.
Mhm.
How can you discover if they, how can you prove they did that?
If they're very attuned, they probably, in the most basic sense, they probably right-clicked on the version date and changed that back. You can look for the original image for when it was posted or when the video was originally posted. Number one. Number two, I don't know exactly. So without looking at the clip, I'm kind of just um, kind of talking about it openly. I'm not quite sure, but also little tidbits in the video. So from an intelligence side, as a hunter targeter, we're able to look for small finite details in the picture. In the most basic sense, if somebody did something on TikTok and they used an app called CapCut, there's a little watermark on the right hand side. We're able to identify if somebody did change the video or they used an editing software for it. So there are ways to kind of check things out specifically. Also, if this is of nefarious nature, like legality wise, there could be some legal implications of changing an image, right? So you may want to consider reaching out to your IT, AV, or maybe even your PIOs with the component of the legal side. Hey, if you're changing videos for significant challenges, like that might be something to consider as well. So it's hard to say without looking at the video, but there are a bunch of different ways to kind of take a look at that by just watching the video and seeing some of the edits and changes on there.
If it's not a video and it's minutes, like something in writing, is that possible? It was minutes from a political meeting, council meeting, and they're trying to cover something
Um,
from 2 years ago.
Boy, I'm not quite sure about that. If they're changing a Word document, there are ways to
Yes,
take a look at the different versions of the Word document. Are you I'm going to have to ask you to reach. So I'm kind of treading this very gently because Illinois is no stranger to political fun, right? I encourage you to reach out to your IT, see if you can get some back versions of the actual document itself, the Word document itself. That way they can find the original version of it too. So could that maybe help out on the original side?
yeah, thank you. I'm kind of investigating and looking into it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
if you also have contacts at local law enforcement, that may also help out too, because you can't exactly change minutes and things. So keep those things in mind.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, while you're thinking of any other questions, folks, this is not easy. I encourage you to reach out to your local PIOs or your public information officers, public affairs officers. A lot of them are a treasure trove of information, and they are used to seeing ridiculous things like this all the time. So, again, I encourage all of you to take the time to reach out to your public affairs folks. They're usually pretty good folks, and if you need some help, I'm the chair of the NEMA subcommittee of all the PIOs across the nation. They're a good bunch of folks. They're hilarious. And I'm happy to make the connections with whatever state, tribal nation, or territory that you're in, and make sure that you are all connected on that side. So, hoping that helps out. Again, I'll open up the floor for any questions. Awesome. Glad to see everybody there. Cool.
Great. I'm all of the fingers now. Because some of them I was looking and I was like, oh, that's real. And I was like, oh, wait, no, that was fake. Especially the wave picture with that one got me. So thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
Got it. Cool.
So
Thanks,
great
folks.
presentation.
All right. Awesome. Anything else you need from me, Amy? Are we good?
No, we're good. Thank you for attending this Third Thursday. Next Third Thursday is April 17th. So we'll see you all there. Have a great rest of your day.